Hi, this is Pranay Sharma and I'm back with another video of R. Now today we are going to do our while loop. Now, first of all, we know what a loop is and we have studied for loop. Now today we'll see while loop and what is the difference between a while and a for loop. Okay. So when we say while loop, you can say as soon as I type while, I get it is a control flow. Okay. So while is a function where it takes first a particular condition and every time before running this loop it checks whether that condition is true or not. So if that condition is true, then whatever statement that I write here, it will run that statement. So in a for loop, we had a particular number of time our loop would run, but here there is no fixed number of times a loop should run. Here it takes the condition, and if that condition is true, then only it will run this particular statement. Otherwise it will skip and move forward. Okay, so let's take an example. Let's say if I say while a particular value, let's say x is less than, let's say x is less than 5. Now before I say anything about x, I should define x. So let's say x is equal to 1 right now. Okay, so I'll say while x is less than 5, my x, let's say, is equal to my old value of x plus 1. Now these are iterative values. Now we should have some value that is always changing. Otherwise the while loop will end up in a loop, and it will infinite loop, and it will never end. So here if I say x is equals to x plus 1, and then let's say I print my x, or let's say first I print my x and then increase the value. So I'll say print x, and then my x should increase the value. So here if I run this, you can see I'm getting 1 2 3 4. So first x was 1 and it checked whether x was less than 5. Then because x was less than 5, then it prints x, and then I increase the value of x. Now here if I do not increase the value of x, what will happen? I'll just show you. If I just press Ctrl Enter here, if I just press Ctrl Enter here, you will see that it will keep on running. You can see here it is still going on. It is giving me 1 and 1 and 1, and I will have a lot of values, and soon my computer will get heated and it will shut down. So we do not want that. And whenever our loop is stuck in an infinite loop, you will find that a stop sign is here. You can see here stop sign, and if I press this stop sign, it stops any work that is happening here. So it stopped it and it gave me this value. So whenever there is a process going on, if it takes a very long time, you will get that stop sign here. One of the process would be our infinite loop. What happened here was every single time it printed the value of x, and then again went back to check whether x is less than 5, because x did not change, x was still 1, and again printed 1, and so on. It kept on printing the value of x, that was 1. So for while loop, an iterative value is very much important. A value should keep on increasing such that after some time this particular condition should become false. So in this case I had x is equals to x plus 1. So x would be equal to old x plus 1. Now if I run, I will get this. Okay, 1 2 3 4, and you know that if you get your arrow here, this arrow, then clearly your code has been ended and you did not have any loop. If you do not get this arrow, then you have some problem. Now sometimes you will find that you have a plus sign there. So if I just run this much, you will find that there's a plus sign because it is expecting something here. Okay, we have not completed our code yet, so it is expecting something here. In this case, it was expecting this particular bracket that I did not deliberately run. Okay, so whenever you have a plus sign, it sometimes is very difficult to figure out what happens or how to clear that. All I do is I go here and I put any bracket, does not matter. If it is a correct bracket, it's okay. If it is the wrong bracket, like I'm showing here, it will give me an error. Here, error, unexpected bracket in this. Anyways, now I get this arrow back. Okay, so that way what happens is, at least I do not, I can now check again what my problem might be here and try to run it again. Now there is no problem because my bracket has been closed, and you can see I have run my code. So this is nothing but our while loop. Let's take an example. Count the number of even values in a sequence. Now we did this last time with for. Now we'll do it with while. So whenever we have while, we'll start with while and then our round brackets, and first of all we'll have to specify a condition that must be true. So we have to run this for a specific number of time, that is the number of sequences that we have here. Okay, so number of values in the sequence. So for that I'll say my x is less than or equal to my length is a function that talks about the number of values. So length of seq. So it would say whenever my x is less than or equal to this particular number, total number of terms, then this while loop will run. So I'll have my bracket open and whatever value we have here. First of all, I'll have to define my x before I start this. So I'll say x must be equal to, it should start with 1. Okay, so first value, that is what I am saying. So x is nothing but the number of values I am taking, the particular value that I am taking into consideration. Now if, I'll have to specify my if my round value of our seq x, okay, this is the particular value we are talking about because x is the number of the value that we are considering from the seq. If round of seq divided by 2 is same as seq divided by 2, then do what? Then we'll first count. So we'll say count must be increasing, so must be equal to my old count plus 1. And also let's say I want to make a vector that gives me the value also, whichever value was the even. So I'll say value must be equal to my old value. Oh sorry, it is a vector, so it should look like a vector. Take my old vector comma the new value, that would be our seq x. Okay. So these are the two things that I have to do. I'll have to define my count, I will have to define my value. So I'll say my count will be equal to 0. So whenever I am starting a particular object will always have a particular value. So that is why I defined x is equals to 1, because I wanted my x to start with 1. I defined my count as 0 because I wanted my count to start with 0. Okay, I want 0 number of even before I start this while loop. But the value, when I'll define value, I will write it as null. That is because it's a vector, and I would not want vector to have any value. If I write value is equals to 0, 0 is a value inside a vector. So it will take 0 as your first value and then make the vector. Okay, so we do not want that. Okay, so we do not want the first value of our vector to be 0. That is why I'm using the word null here. Okay, so it just says similar to a set, it is a null vector. That means there is nothing inside it. Okay, so when I say nothing inside it, then comma this becomes my first value. Okay. Now for while loop, always remember we should have the vector, whatever vector or object we are using here, should have an iterative value. That means it should keep on increasing. Okay, so whatever variable we have, our object that we are using inside our x, we should get a false value after some time. If not, this will keep on running, and therefore it will be a problem. It will be an infinite loop. So I'll have x must be equal to my x plus 1. This is called as our iterative value. Okay. If you have studied other programming languages like C++, in C++ we use x++. That does not work here. So you will have to define x is equals to our old x plus 1. So it will take the first value, check whether our first value is even or not, then goes here and makes the x value one more, so it becomes 2, and then checks here while x is equals to 2, is it less than or equal to length of the sequence? If yes, then it goes on continuing. Then at the end it will increase it more than the length of the sequence, then this term becomes false and the loop stops. So if I check, just run all of these, seems okay, and I will check my count, how many counts do I have and what are the values, right? Count, I have 9, and what are those? So these are the 9 values that are even from the sequence. That seems okay. Now what are the mistakes that we can do? First thing would be we can miss a bracket. So if I just do this, you will have a plus sign. Whenever you have a plus sign, put any bracket. I prefer to always not up there, okay, down here. You should not mess with your code. Down here I'll just put a bracket. We are very certain that whatever we are doing, we did not miss a square bracket. So this is just so that I should get an error. So I'll press enter and you can see I have an error. I don't care what that error, because most likely there is some problem in my code. Okay, so I missed a bracket here. Okay, that could be a problem. The other problem would be I could miss iterating in the while loop. For loop ends, while loop does not end if we do not make it end. So if I press Ctrl Enter, you will see that first of all I did not get my arrow here. If I do not get my arrow, that means my code is still running, and I do not get a plus here. That means I'm not missing something. Okay, code is not being expecting anything from me. It's just keep on running, and you will find this stop sign here. Just press the stop sign. Okay, it stops, and then check whether why your code is still running. Most likely you forgot to iterate your loop. I'll press so here that x is equals to x plus 1 is missing, so I'll put that x is equals to x plus 1. Okay, so these are some things that you should make sure. The other thing is, if you get an error of a particular, like sometimes what happens is while typing I'll type ht instead of th, and as soon as I run this, you will find an error. It says length this could not find function length. Okay, then you will realize first thing you should check is whether the spelling of the function is correct or not. 99% of the time the spelling is wrong. This 1% would be that you forgot what the actual value or the actual name of the function was. Okay, so I'll say th length, and now if I run again, Control Enter, I should get my values. So these are some things that you should keep in mind while you are running your code. If you have an error, why do you have an error? These are the 3 main causes of our errors. Okay, obviously there will be a lot more that we'll see later on. So the next example we'll take is check divisible by 7 values between 1000 and 10,000. Okay, now whenever you have a certain number of values, then you can definitely use for loop like we have used before, but you can definitely use while loop also. we'll say that our value must be between 1000 and 10,000, for which we are checking whether it is divisible by 7 or not. So we'll say our x is equals to 1000. That's our start. Then we'll say while our x is less than or equal to 10,000, then do something. Check whether it is divisible by 7 or not. So we'll say if my round value that would be x comma 0, if it is divisible, if this is equal to, sorry, not x comma 0, it should be x divided by 7, right? Divided by 7 comma 0 is equal to my x divided by 7, then we should have then it is divisible. So we'll say we should make a vector of value. So I'll say value must be equal to my vector of old value comma this new value, that would be my x. This is divisible by 7. Okay. Again, if you want to count, you can make a count as well. Say count is equals to my old count plus 1. So again, I'll have to define those values. I'll say count will be equal to 0. Count will start from 0 and value will be equal to null. Okay. Now again, I have to increase my x every single time. So what we'll do is we'll say x will be equal to x plus 1. Now if I run this, let's see what happens. So it tried values. We have 1286 values that are divisible by 7 between 1000 and 10,000, right? So it tried values and it went from first x is equals to 1000, checked, most likely it wasn't, so it came here, said plus 1 and went back to the loop. Then checked, 1001 was less than 10,000, so therefore it checked again, whatever it was, I think, and it then changed the count, added the count with 1, so it became 1. Then went to value and added that x to the value. Value was null, so now we have one single value. Then went back and added 1 plus 2, so that became 1002, went back with the while loop, and so on till this became 10,001, because we were checking less than or equal to. So as soon as it became 10,001, it checked and said no, this is clearly not correct, it is false, so it stopped the loop. So that is why we have our values, you can see here in the global environment, and you can see the count, that is 1286. In both of these examples, the main thing was we could have used for loop or while loop. So why are we studying two different loops? I'll give you an example where for loop can be used, but it would be very difficult. Here I am saying in a series of coin tosses, find the number of heads before getting a tails. Okay, I'll just clear this. So I am saying that I am keep on going on tossing the coin, and let's say I am trying to figure out how many heads I can get recursively before I get my first tails. And before we move forward, we need to know how to make a random value from a particular, how to get this coin tosses, how to simulate this coin tosses. So for that, we will assume our heads to be 1. Let's say heads heads is equals to 1 and tails is equals to 0. Okay. So I will make a set, I will make a vector that will contain my 0 and 1. So this is sort of a toss, because the probability that I will get head or I'll get tails is equal. So that is why I've kept equal number of heads and equal number of tails. In this case, just 1, 1. Then I would want each time to take any one value from 0 or 1 randomly in this case. So for that we have a function called sample. So we'll use sample and we'll say inside that sample take a sample out of what? So out of this vector 0, 0, 1. Take a sample of how many values? So comma, the size of the sample must be just one single value. I could take more than one as well. Here I could take more than the values of the vector as well. I could say take a sample of 10 values, but I just have to specify one more thing, that is replace. Okay, so I have to specify replace, and my replace must be equal to true. That just means that as soon as I take my first sample, first value for the sample, then replace that value again. So if I take 0, then replace the 0 so that again I have 0 and 1 to take the second value from it. See, if I just press Ctrl Enter, you can see here I have 10 samples. You can see here I have 10 samples. I have 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, and if I press it again, I'll have a different sample. See, it's slightly different. It's not, see, these values are totally different. If I press again Ctrl Enter, I'll have a different sample. Now I do not want 10 values. I just want one single value. Okay. And for one single value, does not matter if I'm replacing it back or not. So replace is not necessary. So I'll just say sample from the 0 and 1 and give me just one single value from that sample. If I press Ctrl Enter, sometimes I get 0. That means tails. If I press Ctrl Enter, I get again 0. If I press Ctrl Enter, I get 1. Sometimes I'll get 0, sometimes I'll get 1. That means sometimes I'll get tails and sometimes I'll get heads. Just a random value. Okay. So I want to know how many in this such random sequences, random tosses, how many heads I can get before I get my first tails. So for that, I'll make my while loop. Now here I have no idea about how many tosses will I have to do so that I get a tails. There is no limitation to it. I can have infinite tosses all being heads before I get my first tails. So I do not have a limit of number of times I'll have to do this. Okay, number of times I will have to get the samples. Obviously in practical life we will get tails in a few tosses, but we do not want to assume anything. So we'll say while our let's say I am going to assume that my toss is going to give me 1. So I'll say my toss is equals to 1. So I'm saying while my toss is still heads. So my toss is equals to 1. It is still heads. For comparative purposes, double equal to. Okay. So while my toss is still giving me heads, then try this. So I'll have toss equal to my sample coming from 0, 1, 1. So I need one sample coming from this. Okay, so I'll just remove this. This was just to show you what that is. Okay. So while my toss is equal to 1, my toss will again, I'll do another toss and I'll move forward. Now I'll have to count how many heads do I get. So for that, I'll say my n number of heads is equals to my previous number plus 1. Now what happens is, because I've assumed my first value to be 1, my first toss to be 1, to start this while loop, I need that toss to be 1. If it is 0, it will never start the while loop. Okay. So therefore I have taken toss is equals to 1. So for that I have already assumed 1 heads. So I do not need to assume that. I will say my n is equals to minus 1. I am starting my count from minus 1. That means as soon as my first time loop starts, my n becomes 0. You can see my n becomes 0. Then it tosses. Let's say I get a heads. Then it will check whether I got a heads. And if I get a heads, then it becomes 0 plus 1, that is 1. Then again, it will toss. And if I get a tails now, then it will go and it will say toss is now 0 and it will not run the while loop. So I will get n is equals to 1 and so on. So let's just take this and run, control enter, and you can see my n is 0 because I got my first as tails. If I run again I got tails. If I run again I got now 1. Okay, so I got 1 heads and then I got a tails. I can run. This time I got 2 heads. You can see n value here. I have 2. So clearly I got 2 heads before I got another tails. Now let's say I'm doing this 1,000 times. If I'm doing this 1,000 times rather than pressing control enter again and again, what I'll do is I'll make a loop for that as well. I'll use for. I'll say for my I being in 1 to 1,000. Okay, so I'm doing this 1,000 times. I am opening my bracket. Instead of closing it here, I am closing it here. So I'm saying run this 1,000 times. Now every single time I will have a different n. So I need a way to remember that value of n. So I'll say value, or I'll just write x. Why not? Just write x must be equal to my old x comma this particular value of n. So I will have to define my x. My x is a vector, so it's going to be null. Now here I am setting the value, or I am writing the value of x as whatever the number of tosses that I'm going to get here. So let's press control enter, and you can see here I went 1,000 times. You can see value of I is 1,000. So it went 1,000 times, so my loop ran with no problem, and in the last one I got n is equal to 0. That's okay, not a big deal. You can see here x value 11720000. So there I'll just use another function called table to list down how many values were for what frequency. So here I have 0 to 10 values. So even I got 10 times heads before I got my tails. So that also happened here. Okay. And 492 times, majority times, you can see that we got zeros. That means we got tails. 492 times in the first attempt we got tails. So let's say I want to find average number of times I will get heads before I get tails. So, or average number of heads I can get before I get my tails. I'll take mean. I'll take average of this x, and I get 0.986. This would always be nearly 1 value. Okay. Because I'm saying after 1 heads I should get another tails. That is my expectation. Right? So expectation is nothing but mean. So in this case, while loop was important because I did not know how many times should I run this particular loop to make sure that I get a tails. Here I knew I want to do the simulation 1000 times. So therefore I used for loop, and here I used while loop. Right? So when I know for sure how many times I need to do this loop, I should use for loop. When I do not know, then I should use while loop. And here there will be a condition that can be true or that can be false. As soon as it becomes false, our loop ends. I can run this again because I had a random, this sample gives me random values. I will get different values every single time. So I'll just copy, I'll just run it again. And you will see here I get a different sample. You can see the frequency. This time I got 508 tails. Then for one head and then tails I got this many times. Then 2 heads and tails these many times. And 3 heads and tails these many times, and so on. So the mean is 1.012. As I've told you that it would be nearly 1. Because our expectation is that after 1 heads I should get 1 tails. I can run this again. This time you can see 9 was the largest number of heads we got before we got a tails. This time if I just run again, I got 13. And here I got 1.0151. So this is how we use our for loop and while loop. In the next video, we'll talk about how to use data, how to import data, everything about using data and writing data in RStudio. Let's end our video here and we'll meet next time.